Bubsy. Do I really have to explain it to you? Okay, fine, I'll explain it. Bubsy is mostly referred to as a bobcat, which is a type of lynx. Even though it doesn't look anything like Bubsy, some people even depict it as being a desert fox, which looks like this. Bubsy was originally made by the company Accolade. Wait, not that Accolade. This Accolade. And was released May of 1993, being on the SNES, later being released onto the Sega Genesis. Bubsy 1 was okay, Bubsy 2 was very crappy, Bubsy 3 was crappy, and it didn't seem like it was going to get any better from this point onward.
Yo, remember me? Your old pal Bubsy? From all those classic games you loved.
Was it something I said? What could possibly go wrong?
Forget about that. Let's talk about the new one. Bubsy 4D!
This was very out of the ordinary. Nobody was expecting this. Like, who even is Baptiste anyway? Or whatever his name is, I don't know. In all honesty, Bubsy 4D is a great game. I mean, it looked really fun, so like any normal person would do, I got it on release day. I was originally making the first 2 episodes on YouTube, but then I just quit and then just decided to start from scratch and get all the way to the end, and then I was going to make a review video on it, and here we are. Now, I'm not going to go through all of the levels and all of the collectibles, all the bosses, everything. I'm not going to rank everything. That's going to be for a ranking video that I might make in the future. But when I first looked at Bubsy 4D, I don't mean my gameplay, like when I first actually saw it, I knew that something was off. And that's when I realized that the game was made by Fabraz and it was published by Atari. Now, if you didn't know, Fabraz was also the creator of Demon Turf and Demon Tides. So, I won't go too in depth into this because the main idea is about Bubsy, but I will briefly go over it. So, Demon Turf came out in 2021, and Demon Tides came out in 2026. I know, big gap. Not as big as Bubsy's though. Pause. And Demon Turf is already released on the Switch, and Demon Tides is gonna release on the Switch, but it's an unknown date. Now, the real problem here is, because I'm not just gonna yap about this all video, but the real reason that this is an issue is because if you look at the two things, you can see that they're very similar, and this just kind of removes that, that old Bubsy nostalgic feel to it. The next floor that I wanted to talk about was the bosses. Now, in Bubsy 4D, there are 3 bosses: Barbie, Bartholomew, and whatever his name is, okay? Now, 2 of these bosses, the first 2, Barbie and Bartholomew, are kind of like, they kind of remind me, they don't really have that boss charm to it. They just remind me of the Moody Snippets from Banjo-Kazooie. Now, the fight, which is the last fight in the game, is actually pretty good. Basically, what happens is they all join up together to create one big final battle. And, of course, they beat your ass before you get to the final phase. Seriously, it took me like 25 tries to beat that guy. Alright, now we get to the movement. So, the the good thing about the movement is that you have lots of cool moves at your you have lots of moves at your disposal. There's lots of moves. And there's also shop items which you can get movement from as well, like the twirl jump, crouch pounce, item sniffer, and there's a couple others and stuff. So that's cool too. That's another interesting part of it, of the movement. And while I'm in this section, I'm not going to be talking about like speedrun movement, like doing any of this stuff, like doing any of this verbal things like that. I'm just going to be talking about the movement that everybody can do. So with the jumps, you go your double jump, just jump, double jump, and in there you can also you can glide. You can glide like that. And you can pounce, which is the most effective, which is probably the best thing you can get out of not going in a purple, pouncing like this. And this goes into the camera and everything, but I'll talk about that in a bit. Let's go on to the furball now. This is definitely the jank part about. This is definitely probably the jankiest part of the movement is the furball. Once you're in furball, you can hold ZR to start rolling like this, and you can also press or hold ZL to slow down. Whatever control. You can also slow down as well. Yeah, furball is bread and butter for speedrunning Bubsy 4D, but I'm not going into that. I will make a furball thing, tutorial, whatever. Alright. This part's a bit stupid, sorry about this. Let's move on to the camera. Now the camera is jank as well. No, not as jank as 64 day. If you know, the Nintendo 64 camera was not great, and neither is this, because you can definitely get stuck in some places. Like when you're trying to move across, or when you're on a high thing, when you're on a high object in the air, and then you get to a certain point, and the checkpoint's right there, and then the checkpoint's really far away. That's happened a couple times to me. Because the camera can get stuck sometimes. Like when you're trying to do some movement and stuff, your camera can sometimes get stuck. It can get stuck up like this, and you don't know where the platform is. And that just kind of ruins it a bit. That's why the camera is not that great. And yeah, that's it for this. Now the audio is a bit half-baked. You know, you have your Bubsy fourth wall break voice lines, which I kind of like in a way, and also just the fact that Bubsy can talk like normally. Sure, it does have some cornball to it, but it's still pretty good. And I don't want to go through everyone's voices individually, so I'll just put them into categories. The bar bosses. Now, I'm just going to give a quick description on these because I don't want to go on and on about every single one, then the video will be 30 minutes long. The bar bosses actually give quite a bit of dialogue than expected, since most of the game is just mumbling, or if there's any speech involved at all. And most of the time they just mumble. On the actual boss fights, they do have like little voice lines. Pretty much when something moves or you trigger something, they seem to give some dialogue. Also, the bear is really annoying. Next, the Bubsy crew. I already talked about Bubsy, so let's just get to the other characters. Most of the time, again, they just mumble. The only time that I really find that they get a heap of dialogue is from when the bosses come up. The boss speech thing. Sorry about the background. And the introduction. The system is fully operational. Now, the music was the real downgrade in the audio. The other Bubsy games had nice, catchy rhythms like the one that I'm showing you right now with C playing. Editing with those ones are really catchy and stuff. And this is just kind of a downgrade. Like, listen to this. Not to mention that this also has enhanced audio. So, as you can see, some of the audio, not all of it is bad. Well, I'm not saying it's bad, but it's just not really fitting the level. Like, the levels are meant to be energetic and fun, and this just kind of sounds like an elevator. Alright, the value is actually quite expensive for a very short game. There's 3 worlds, it's pretty short. The average person takes about 4 to 5 hours to beat it. And I would say that the prices are actually pretty excessive for a short game. And all of the prices and the consoles and the regions will be displayed right up here. You can pause it here, but I'm about to go into the next subject, so yeah. As you come across the visuals in this game are not actually that bad. And the visuals are a bit complicated and there's lots to go over. But I will go in depth through the stuff. Just try and go as in depth as possible while also not making the video way too long. Now the thing with Bubsy is it has like an arts and crafts theme that it likes to go for sometimes. And I actually really like this. It looks really cool. And as I said before, the style that I tried to go with the Demon Tide and Demon Turf that was also made by Fabraz, which is the same creator. It does give that little bit of downgrade. The console that I play this on is the Nintendo Switch 2, which the frame rate for Bubsy is locked at 60 FPS. For the Nintendo Switch 2, while the Nintendo Switch 1 is locked at a frame rate of 30. And also some other consoles like PS5 and Xbox are also locked at 60 FPS. As I said before, Bubsy 4D has 3 worlds, which are Wooltopia, Craftus, and Metallurgia. I think I said that right. Each offering a unique artistic aesthetic, with each one being different from the other. Bubsy also has skins that you can use by collecting yarn balls in all of the different levels. Alongside this, there are also yarn balls that you can collect, and the color varies on which world you go to. As I said before, there's Craftus, Wooltopia, and Metallurgia. And there's also white yarn balls too. And 150 yarn balls in each level, and 750 yarn balls for each world. Also, honorable mention that in one of the skins, Bubsy is naked. Okay, and the other side of it is the movement options. And most of the movement options you get straight away. I mean, yeah, you get a tutorial on it and stuff and all the different things, but also you can buy some moves from the shop from getting the map thing. Visual humor is also integrated directly into the gameplay, such as when Bubsy hits a checkpoint or gets defeated, utilizing a style of death animation cutaways similar to older infamous entries, while also being redesigned for a modern audience with highly animated and expressive movements. And that's it for the visuals. Now, this category is a bit weird since I'm kind of just doing whatever. So I think all that this section is going to be about is the enemies. Now, I am not happy with the enemies. They used this mechanic very poorly. Most of the time you can just pounce into them and then kill them. You can kill them off very easy. There's very few left in the game, and it's just poor design elements. In conclusion, I think Bubsy 4D is an okay game. It's not the best game in the world, but it's still pretty good. Especially since you have all of those moves at your disposal, and you'll have lots of fun exploring, 100%ing the game, and I recommend you try it out. It'll get you really intrigued for speedrunners and casual players alike. This is Levi from Levi X Studio, and thank you for watching my video, and I'll see you guys next.
What?
Did you just turn it off?
Well, yeah. I sensed a whole villain speech coming on. And who's got time for that?
That was actually kind of cool.